Apple has taken the world by storm to become a leading retailer in smartphones, tablets, and computers, among other things. But their products aren't the only ones out there. Other companies sell the same sort of stuff. And yet Apple's loyal followers help the company blow away expectations quarter after quarter. So what's at the core of Apple's sales strategy? Carmine Gallo is the author of The Apple Experience. So Carmine Gallo, I've heard people say that Apple fans are not just fans, they're almost like evangelists. They're trying to get other people to get an iPad, get an iPhone, and they sort of spread the word of Apple. How does a company create that kind of enthusiasm?
Well, you're absolutely right. One of the first questions they'll ask you as a customer is, how likely, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend Apple and the Apple Store to your friends or your family? So that's exactly what the Apple Store wants. They want to turn customers into evangelists. I wrote the Apple Experience because it is the most profitable retail store in the world. What do they do that we can all learn from? And I learned so many very interesting things, but I'll tell you the first thing. You have to start with a different vision. Steve Jobs, when he first created the Apple Store in 2001, his vision was not to sell stuff. His vision was not to elevate Apple's market share from 5 to 10%. His vision was to enrich lives. Those two words are on the front of a small wallet-sized card that all employees are expected to carry. Enriching lives. When you begin with the vision to enrich lives, interesting and magical things start to happen. And you create a location and an experience unlike anything else. It's very interesting.
And you've got some sort of is it your catchphrase where the letters of Apple spell out the guidelines, A-P-P-L-E? Is that yours or did that come from the store?
I'm glad you spotted that. No, that is not mine. A-P-P-L-E. Remember I told you about that wallet-sized card that all employees carry? On that card are what are called the 5 Apple Steps of Service. A-P-P-L-E. So each letter corresponds to one step. So that's an Apple term, but it is magical. It's very interesting. Every employee is expected to walk you, the customer, through 5 steps. Approach you with a warm welcome, probe politely to understand your needs and ask questions, present a solution for you to take home today, whether or not you buy a product or not, listen for and resolve unexpressed concerns or problems, and end with a fond farewell. So A-P-P-L-E. Any company can actually walk their employees and train their employees to follow those steps of service.
Well, and I would suggest many companies do. I mean, many years ago, I worked at a retailer, and that's not that different than from what all of us are told. Of course you greet people warmly. Of course you ask for their needs and recommend things and say goodbye. What makes the Apple retail experience unique?
Well, that's true, but how often do you see that happen nowadays? It doesn't happen that often. What I really enjoyed about learning about Apple is that a great Canadian luxury brand inspired Apple, the 4 Seasons. That's why when you walk into an Apple store, you will not find a cashier, but you will meet a concierge. You will find a bar at the back of an Apple store. It doesn't dispense alcohol, it dispenses advice called the Genius Bar. Guess where Steve Jobs and the executives who were building the Apple Store, guess where they got that from? The 4 Seasons.
That's interesting.
So a lot of it does come back to that great Canadian hospitality.
Never had heard that before. That's good to know. But here's another question for you. One of the things that people often comment about, not just Apple, but any great brand, is that it makes some sort of an emotional connection with people. How has Apple specifically created that type of a bond with its customers?
I think it started from Steve Jobs' vision to build simple, easy-to-use devices. Jonathan Ive, who's actually the chief designer at Apple, he is still there. He designs all these great products that many of us enjoy and love. He said that as human beings, we crave simplicity. And so they were really the first electronics company where many companies were adding more features and buttons. They were removing things. They were making products that were simpler and more enjoyable for us to use. That's why there's only one button on the front of an iPad. They're simple, they're elegant, they're easy to use products. And of course, before the experience, the product comes first. And you have to have a great product experience to enhance the overall customer experience. So I do believe it starts with the product, and the products are elegant, simple, and easy to use. That's a start.
Do you think that companies that are not in the retail sector, are there lessons for them to learn from what Apple does and how they've achieved their success?
Absolutely. If it was only applied to retail, I probably would not have written the book. I really wanted something that applied to all businesses, whether they're retail or not. Anybody can learn to enrich the lives of your customer. I think 2/3 of the Apple experience is not the design. That's 1/3 of it. The design, the products, that's 1/3. 2/3 is the staff, how you hire, train, motivate your staff, and secondly, how they are taught to communicate with customers. That's what creates the experience. For example, in the hiring, Apple Store likes to say they value a magnetic personality over proficiency. So they would rather hire a former teacher who has a great personality over a computer expert. It actually all starts in the hiring. So well before we get to the actual sale of a product, it's who you hire that helps create that magical experience. So that applies to anybody. I just heard from a doctor who is helping to build a new hospital in one of our states here in the U.S., in Texas. He's building a new hospital. He read the Apple experience, and he's trying to apply those lessons to the hospital. If Steve Jobs were to build a hospital, what would that look like? It's very interesting.
Do you think Apple's going to stay in the retail business? I mean, it's the internet, more and more people getting online. They could easily sell all their products online. Why bother even having these very expensive stores and staffs?
Isn't that interesting? They do. They do sell a lot of their products online, but they're trying to get you into the store. They want you to even purchase products online and pick them up in the store. They're starting to experiment with that. The store is their secret weapon, because when you go into the store and you have this great experience with the with the staff and also with the programs and the workshops they do, it helps create more loyalty. It helps establish a connection between you and the product. Walk into an Apple store. Do this next time. As soon as it opens, walk into an Apple store. You will see that all of the notebook computers are positioned exactly at 90-degree angles all down the table. Why? It's to encourage you to touch the computer, to interact with the computer. It's loaded with videos and apps, and everything is turned on to the internet, so you can sit and play with the devices as long as you want. That's the secret. They know that once you interact with the product, then they've got you.
All right. Well, Carmine Gallo, thanks so much for speaking with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.